What is up, amazing people? You are listening to Release Your Inner Power podcast, where we share stories about experiences and the paths we have walked that make us who we are. There is encouragement, tools, and tips from special guests to help take those steps to release that inner power. I'm your host, Shauna B. Here we go. Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed and stuck in the chaos of life? It's time to reclaim your peace and your power. Guess what? I have something for you. A free checklist that will transform your days from chaos to calm, helping you boost your day and set yourself up for success. Just imagine waking up each morning with more clarity and purpose, ready to tackle whatever comes your way. This checklist is designed specifically for women like you who are ready to prioritize their well-being and their productivity during the day. Simple yet powerful strategies, this checklist will guide you through creating a morning routine that sets a positive tone for your entire day. Say goodbye to stress and hello to more calmness. From mindfulness practices to time management tips, each item on this list is carefully made to help you get a sense of calm amidst all of the chaos in daily life. You'll be amazed on how small changes can make such a big difference. Don't let another day slip by feeling overwhelmed and frazzled. Get your free checklist and start this journey from chaos to calm. It's time to take control of your life, my friend, and thrive. Check out the show notes for the link to get your checklist today. And remember, you deserve to feel empowered, motivated, and some more in each day of your life. This next mama is an Air Force and Navy vet, wife, mom, and also a certified personal trainer. She loves helping clients who want to feel more confident in their bodies or even more confident at the gym. She does virtual training as well as in-home training. You should come and see how she talks about her story, moving through postpartum, moving to be okay with her body, and how she wants to help other mamas feel the same. Come and meet Jessica. Hello. Welcome back to Release Your Inner Power podcast. I have a special guest today. Her name is Jessica. She is here to share her story and how she helps women out today. Hey, Jessica, how's it going?
Hi, Sean. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good today. I'm so glad to have you here. I can't wait to hear what you're going to share with us. So tell us who Jessica is and how she got to where she's at today.
Yeah. I first like to start out by saying that I'm a veteran. I think that's a super important part of my past and just the character that I am today. So I did 4 years active duty in the Navy between 2013 and 2017. And that's actually where I also found my passion for fitness and lifting, getting in the gym, teaching myself how to use equipment, how to properly do form and things like that. And after I got out, it wasn't until 2021 that I really honed in on following a program, getting strict with my diet, and really getting into fitness in the aspect of seeing bigger changes, I guess, than just doing the same old routine in the gym. I was also preparing for my wedding to my husband, and I was able to get the body of my dreams, if you will, or my goal body before my wedding, which has always been a goal of mine. And I think for many women, that is the one time in their life where they want to look their absolute best. I know women who reminisce on their wedding photos and, think, oh, I can't get back to that. And so I was super happy to get that body. And 2 months after we got married, I ended up pregnant with my son. And so that journey in and of itself was a roller coaster. So going from having your dream body to then feeling like a whale. But I think with pregnancy, it's more accepted. And so you're like, okay, I don't have to suck in. I can kind of be a little more loose with my diet. I tried to be as good with my diet as possible. I did kind of lean into some cravings. I unfortunately was not able to work out and continue lifting. I got COVID at 7 weeks. And so that kind of just put me out for the rest of my pregnancy. I did do physical therapy once a week, and my husband would peel me off the couch to go on walks when possible. And so I had my son in August of 2022, and seeing my body postpartum was a big shock, as to many women, I assume it is. And the one word that throughout my postpartum journey that I continually preach to my clients, to other women, is grace. It takes time. You're breastfeeding. If you're breastfeeding, that's an extra 500 to 700 calories a day that you need to be eating. And obviously you're recovering. You really don't get the quote unquote green light until 6 weeks, which for some women can feel like an eternity. 8 weeks, typically, if you had a C-section. And so I don't think it was until 6 months that I really got back into the gym. I could kind of work on myself, carve out time for myself again, and just ease back into it. I also stopped breastfeeding around 6 months, so I was able to get back into that calorie deficit, and count my calories and macros again. And so it actually took me until 14 months postpartum, with quote unquote consistent training. I fit it in where I could, with sleep schedules, how they are, and just the unknown of raising an infant. And my diet wasn't super strict, but I was just kind of mindful eating, being cautious or conscious of what I was intaking, cooking every night and making meals at home. And I'm happy to say, proud to say, that I got to my pre-wedding weight and body around 14, 15 months, which I didn't even think was possible. Because postpartum, a lot of women told me, well, you probably won't get your body back. And, body positivity to an extent is a great thing, but there's at one point, you don't have to be okay with your postpartum body. And there are ways to get back to before baby as much as possible. Obviously, in the chest area, that is not, without surgery, that's not going back. But I was able to lift and tone, lose weight, and just be confident with my body again. Postpartum, I found myself wearing baggy clothes, wearing leggings all the time, just really not feeling confident in myself. And obviously that affects my relationship with my husband, and not feeling attractive and all of this stuff. And I have never felt that way about my body before. And so I'm glad that I was able to rebuild my confidence in my relationship with my body again. And so during that time, I also became a certified personal trainer. My husband said I needed a hobby. And so I was like, I'm not good at anything. And he said, you're always in the gym, you help your friends out when they have questions. And so why don't you just dive into that? And I never thought it would be a career, but here I am, a stay-at-home mom with my own business as a certified personal trainer. And I also work part-time at a gym. And so it's actually been the best decision ever thus far.
That's awesome.
So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. There's a couple things that I really liked in there when you were saying, like you got your, like your dream body right before you got married. And then when you found out that you were pregnant, you like knew, your body's going to change, right? So what did you do for yourself, like mentally, when you're like, dang, you're not like, dang it, I'm pregnant, because you're excited you're going to have a
Yes.
baby. And you're like, oh, wait, it's like that afterthought. It's like, oh, wait, but my body has to change for this exciting process to happen. So how did you like work through that? Like, what did you do for you while you are, growing this beautiful human inside of you to knowing that your body is providing for them, but then also being okay with it?
I think the biggest thing that I did, my biggest fear was gaining too much weight. And I've seen it time and time again with women. I think as we grew up, it was like eating for two. And in your first trimester, you actually don't have to increase your calories from your maintenance calorie intake. And so I think that was the main thing of like, okay, keep eating the portions you were eating, keep eating the meals you were eating. Obviously, if you're craving something, and even when I'm not pregnant, I will give myself a cheat day during the week, or if we're out to dinner, I'm not restricting anything because one meal is not going to put me off. And so I think that's important with pregnancy too, is you don't have to be super strict or, I'm going to eat everything organic and natural, because my first trimester with morning sickness, I craved everything from the 90s. I was eating cosmic brownies, nacho cheese dip, Easy Mac, raviolios, like it was disgusting, but the only thing I could keep down at the time.
Right.
And so I think just again, like you don't have to completely change everything. Yes, you're growing a human, but do your research. So like second trimester, you bump your calories up if you're still counting. If not, I just did intuitive eating. Half the time it was a mind game. When I was pregnant, I never felt hungry. I either felt full or nauseous. Like there was no in between. So it was like constant snacking. And then by the third trimester, it was like, okay, do I prioritize water, baby, food? It all can't fit in there. And so I think just mindful eating. And obviously, every time you check in with I had a midwife or OB, they'll let you know if you're gaining a little too quickly, not enough. And some women, they just don't gain a ton or the average. And that's okay too. Like I've had friends that have had that, and other women, quote unquote, they seem to be gaining a lot, but they actually just have a lot of amniotic fluid. So with pregnancy, everybody's different. Everybody carries differently. Some women get stretch marks easier. Some people get swollen. I thankfully never got swollen or had any of that, but I also just kept moving. That was my biggest thing. I was like, okay, I can't lift. I can't like burn calories. I felt exhausted because I was growing an ear one day or doing something. And my husband had to remind me, like, you are doing something. It's okay to take naps. Just listen to your body. And that was the biggest thing that, nature has done this for how many years? Just lean into it and follow it. Obviously with cravings, like I couldn't get Dairy Queen every single day, but I did get it at least once a week.
That was one of mine too, Dairy Queen. I was like, can we go get that? Yes. So fast forward to after you had your son. And I think, there's something to be said for women when after you have, your kiddo, that it's funny because that there is this whole recovery period of, because your body, like you took 9 to 10 months to grow this human, and then you have your baby and your body is like, what? Because it's gone, like it's out now. So now it has to like reset. And it's funny because we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, like, okay, it's out, like, let's go, let's do the things, and it's like, that's not realistic. It's not realistic. You have to slow down, and you have to like, I love that you said give yourself grace, because it's so true. You have to slow down and give yourself grace to really process, like, my body is healing in many ways, not just one, in many ways, and it's resetting, and there's so many systems involved with that it's going to take a while. So it's like you have to keep reminding yourself of that, and like still being okay with, like you said, taking breaks or taking naps or doing that, because it's still healing. I think it's harder postpartum because there's more demands, because, a little sleep might be totally whack, or their eating schedule could be crazy. You could feel like a total mom bee, like, oh my gosh, I can't, and then, you're supposed to give yourself grace for this, but then you want to try to be like a normal human somewhat because now you're not pregnant and you're not like bigger, like you still have some weight, but you're not like the biggest that you were, right? So it's so crazy how much pressure we put on ourselves. Like we're supposed to bounce back like real quick when in reality, for me, like I had a C-section and my kid was huge, humongous. Okay. And it took me almost an entire year before I felt normal again, before I could even continue to do what I did pre-baby.
Mhm.
And so I think you're right. Like just working through that, and the grace thing is like a whole challenge in itself. Did you have practices or things and habits put in place that you would do postpartum to kind of like reset and remind yourself on a
Yeah.
regular basis?
So I think just continuing what I did with baby bump pictures. Pictures can show a lot when you think you're not progressing or whatnot. So obviously it's reverse of growing the bump, but thinking, or stepping on the scale, oh, I didn't lose weight this month or this week, or I don't think I'm getting smaller. My jeans still don't fit. But doing progress photos before getting pregnant just to see progress in the gym, I was able to kind of do the same thing. And thank God, because now I have befores to show like, yes, I did have weight. Like this was my heaviest, even though my husband's like, that's not that heavy compared to other women, but it was like my personal journey and how I felt. Um, just take photos in the same outfit or lighting, time of day, because obviously you can bloat as you eat if you're taking pictures in the morning versus at night. And just a visual reminder of like, oh, okay, I am slimming down. My stomach is a lot more toned, or my legs have gotten smaller. Just things like that, because a lot of time, especially from the backside, we as women don't see that every day. Like our husbands may notice it, but we don't, especially if your goal, like mine, was fitting back into your jeans. If they don't fit, they don't fit, whether you lost 5 pounds or not. There's a point where they're just not going to fit until you get to a certain body fat percentage or whatever. But if that's your goal and that's what you're basing it off of, you will always feel like you're not making progress and just defeated. So I say progress photos for me really helped a lot, because even though I wasn't in the gym doing anything, my body was naturally kind of, with breastfeeding, you're burning calories. I was still getting up and walking around and carrying this baby as he grows. That's more weight that you're carrying around. And so you're still doing stuff. You're burning those neat calories that are non-exercise calories. So don't feel like you're not doing anything. And just visually, those photos showed me so much when I felt like I was doing nothing but being a couch cow.
I know it's funny how you can get onto yourself when it's like not your normal habit or routine of doing something for yourself and like working out or eating, and how much we can beat ourselves up about that versus like, really looking at the full situation of what you're doing. And you can tweak it a little bit, but you can sit on the couch sometimes. Like it is fine to do that. If you were sitting on the couch all the time, then yeah. But if you do it sometimes, like it's funny because you have to be okay with that. And sometimes that can be a struggle. Sometimes that can be a thing. I'm definitely a busy person. And so for me to rest and recuperate can be challenging for me. And I have to change my mindset about it
Yep.
before I do it, or it won't.
Yes.
It'll be like a struggle the entire time unless
Mhm.
I like, get right in my mind about it to make it easier, the rest of the time, which is giving yourself grace and reminding yourself.
Mhm.
And, and it's so awesome that your husband was there kind of like your cheerleader in your corner, because at the times where you were doing that, where you were just like, oh, I'm just, being a couch cow and I'm not doing anything. He's like, excuse me. Hi, I'm going to remind you of the things you are doing.
Yes.
So you can like come back to this reality. Here we are, like, I think that that's really cool that he helped with that. And I think that's also important, is to have, somebody in your corner that can kind of like word slap you back into reality of what's actually happening, because sometimes you can get it stuck in that spiral for a little bit. And when, you use the phone a friend or whatever, it can be like, hey, this is going on, and, give yourself some time and space, and it's okay to do the things, because you're trying to get back onto a different new habit, because now you have a whole nother human. So everything is going to change. Like, you can still go work out, still eat right, and do all the stuff, but it's going to shift a little bit more, because now you have an additional person in your life that so it's all going to be different anyway. So you're just building it, like, I don't know, remind yourself that you're building it now in this new way, because you have all the new things that are happening.
Yes, a new normal.
Yeah, new normal. Yeah, totally. Well, tell me a little bit more about, I know, like you said a little bit about what you do, and I like to ask people what they're passionate about and like what really gets them going. And I know that you said that during your postpartum phase that your husband said, like, why don't you go to the gym? Can you tell me a little bit, like, go to the gym and get certified as a trainer? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, what led you, to that? What led you to actually getting certified?
I'm always in the gym, and I felt like I wasn't knowledgeable enough, but I've been doing it since, I don't know, 2015. So I think I've learned a thing or two. And so the certification was kind of just the book knowledge, the I'm official, I know what I'm talking about type of thing. And it was actually super easy to get, because a lot of the stuff I just self-taught or read about over the years. And so I just remember when I was first starting out, I couldn't even tell you what amino acids did, protein powder, creatine. I couldn't tell you how to do a perfect squat. I was like typical girl and just using body machines, not touching the free weights. And so when I work out at the gym and I see those women who are not confident walking around the gym, even if it has nothing to do with their body, they're like, oh, that looks interesting, but I'm not going to use it because I don't know how to do it correctly, or everyone's looking at me. Newsflash, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about you. They're not looking at you. If they are looking at you, they probably need to use your machine, and they're just checking to see if you're done yet. So I think as women, we've come a long way in the gym, but we still feel like we don't belong there, or that we don't know what we're doing. And so that kind of fueled my passion to get certified and to be able to help other women primarily. And then as I talk to people and my friends, I just naturally gravitate towards new moms or postpartum, and just helping them, because that's building back a whole new type of confidence physically and not just knowledge wise. And so with my business, I never intended to target women. I was like, I'm a veteran. I could totally train males if I wanted to. But I really just like working with this group of women, because I feel like there's such a need, and there's just so little knowledge with even working out pregnant, let alone postpartum. Like, what can I do? What am I able to do? Where can I get my body? I thought I just had to accept this as my new normal now, and there's nothing to do about it. My mom pees when she sneezes, it's normal. Just all these things and myths that I want to help expel and just educate women to feel independent. And it's like, no, I can do this. I know what I'm doing. And so that really just fueled my passion to get certified, and then eventually start a business out of it.
I love that. I love that the people that you started to work with are, pregnancy and postpartum, because I do feel like there's this whole societal norm of it's kind of like our job to just like make the baby and then have the baby and then like go back to normal.
Yep.
And like, yeah, you chose to have a baby, so that's what it is for you. Excuse me, no.
Yes.
Like it's like this whole thing of, okay, how, like when are you going to come back to work? And,
Mhm.
and then there's like all these multitude of things that we have to do physically, not even mentioning the mental part.
Oh, yeah. The mind game of
Oh,
postpartum and
that's like a whole,
pregnancy.
yeah, that's like a whole thing. But then you're right. Like, I don't think that there is, I mean, yeah, there's people out there that help and that give you tips and things, and like people like you that have businesses that can help that. But I don't think that it is like a thing in society to be like, okay, let's look at how we can, keep moving your body and keep yourself healthy
Mhm.
while you are recovering, because you can. It's kind of like, I don't know, the perspective just gets kind of weird and shifted, and then you have this whole thing where you could, I'm pretty sure that moving your body and working with this is going to decrease postpartum depression,
Mhm.
right? So, but is that talked about?
Yeah,
No.
and it's
No.
not. A lot of things are not talked about either with pregnancy. I mean, my mother-in-law and my mom, they have multiple kids and they never warned me about the mental aspect of it. And postpartum, I had a really tough time mentally not doing things, and just working through that. And you got all those hormones, and nobody wants to scare the pregnant woman or tell them their horror stories, but information is good to have. Like, I shouldn't be learning these things from Instagram reels, and Google, and just, I think as women, we need to talk about it more and not be afraid to quote unquote scare the new mom. I was taking in all information. Granted, there's some things with a grain of salt that you're like, okay, that was your experience, whatnot. But keeping myself very well informed. And I was fortunate enough that my husband, while he was in the Navy, um, was stationed in Florida and did labor and delivery for 2 years. So thankfully, I was like, medically, you're like more prepared than I am to have this child. But I think just reading up and informing yourself, preparing yourself with knowledge. And postpartum, I thought, I'm going to breastfeed. It's natural. My body's going to know what to do. It didn't. I was an exclusive pumping. And at one point, my supply dropped. I had to cross that hurdle of introducing formula, felt like a failure, and then realized me and my husband were both brought up on formula exclusively. Our moms couldn't breastfeed. We turned out fine. And no matter if your kid's eating organic, has screen time, doesn't have screen time, like they could still grow up and pack a smoke of cigarettes a day. Like, no matter what you do, just know that it's enough, that you care, it's enough. And as long as that child is loved and taken care of, that is enough. And that you're doing a great job, because it's tough. It's very tough. And just mentally, sleep deprivation, you don't love your body, yourself, you just feel all over the place. And again, just having that grace and telling yourself that this is just a season, it's not forever. That is, you have to just burn into your mind.
Yeah, it's definitely temporary, right? Reminding yourself that this is temporary and it can change. You're not stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
It might feel like you are stuck in the mud up to your thighs and you're like, I'm supposed to walk in this. Like, it might feel like that. It might be that, feel that hard. But, in the beginning, you're kind of in the trenches too in the first couple of months, but that's okay because there's a lot going on, and to be reminded that you can change it and you have the ability to change it. And, why not try or do something different? And it works for you. Like you said, when all this information and people are coming at you, what's going to work for you and what's not. If you try
Mm-hmm.
it and you're like, no, it's not my jam, fine, pitch it, try something else. That's that's the beauty about like taking the information and trying something that works for you or doesn't work for you, and then going from there, because you are going to know what the best thing is for you in that, space. And to realize that you don't have to do it fast. You don't have to, oh, you're supposed to be in your, pre-baby body by a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it, and some might, it might be 8 months, and they might be, because everybody's different, and then there's some that might take 3 years, but you need to be okay with where your progress is, because as long as you are doing the things and making the progress, like you said, I love the picture thing, and not just always putting on your jeans and being like, they still don't fit, because it totally makes a difference. Like the number on the scale, like it doesn't matter, because you don't know what that weight is. It could be water at the time. It could be, like you could have inflammation happening. Like there's so many things that can contribute to that number. So just like your number seems stagnant, it's like, I love that you said pictures, because it does make a difference to see where it is, like where the weight changed or dropped or what have you. It totally does make a difference. And to, like be okay with you doing the thing to get there. So I love that is your like niche of helping, because I think it is much needed. And as a reminder to, new moms, that you can do stuff for yourself and be a mom. Just because you had a kiddo doesn't mean it's like, oh, whole life's dedicated to this little peanut over here. I mean, part of it.
Yes.
But you are a person too. So let's take care of you along with this little peanut over here.
Yes, that was my goal to, I love being a mom, but that is not my sole identity. I coexist with my son, and that is one of the hats I wear, but I still get to do things for me. And another mental challenge is like, it's not selfish. Some days it's needed. Like, otherwise I'm a real witch. Like if I don't get my training in, I don't have my me time, like, the whole house suffers. So I think that's a big thing of like self-care can be different for everyone. And if it's working out, that is not selfish at all.
Correct. It's interesting, right? Because we think it's selfish to fill ourselves up so we can be better for our kids, when you think of it like that, right? I think what would be selfish is if you were hurting them or sacrificing them for doing something for you. That is selfish. But taking care of you that's just not. And it's sometimes that's a hard switch to flip in internally in your mind. You have to like really work through that. So I'm very glad that you said that, because it's so true. If you want to be a good mom, you want to be the best mom, you want to be able to do stuff with your kids and show up and not be snippy and, like you said, a witch. You got to do stuff for yourself. I'm the same. Like if I have to work out, I have to move my body, I have to do something. Otherwise I am snippy. And then what is that? Then now my kids are like, geez, what's wrong with you? You don't want that. You want to be like, oh yeah, I am being kind of mean. It's like the same. It's like with them, like they act up, they throw their tantrums, or they're like super crabby. Why? Because their needs are not, they're not there. Like they're not getting enough sleep, or they're not getting enough food, or they haven't had enough playtime. Okay. Well,
Yes.
have we eaten? Have we slept? Are we drinking water? Our playtime is whatever. What is that for you? Working out? Is it going on a hike? Is it walking with your friends? Is it just going out to lunch? Whatever that is, we need that too. It's not like that just goes by the wayside just because we're moms. That's crazy. That's crazy town. It needs to, like you said, coexist with your kids. Yes, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. So it's good. That's good, because you, I'm sure, infuse that in with working with them, right? And chatting with them and working through that whole mindset piece along with training them, I'm sure, because you can't just physically train somebody. I'm sure you guys talk and chat a lot. So it's a whole mindset thing as well in there. And I think that's really cool that your perspective is that way, because then you can infuse that in there with them and give them that whole encouraging boost and motivation and all that stuff for themselves as well. That's really great. So tell me a little bit, you've kind of answered some of it, but tell me a little bit about like your momhood and what that looks like for you. And then kind of leading into, like you said, your me time and how you get that in, how you make sure that that is a non-negotiable in your life.
Yeah. So my momhood, it's come a long way. Um, Obviously, when I was pregnant, I always say that I pampered myself a lot more than after Liam was here. And it took a while to be like, okay, no, I still need to do those things. They may look different. So now pampering myself is, taking time to go soak in the tub or give myself a pedicure. Make sure that I am fed, regularly showered, and just huge thing is open communication with my husband to be like, I need to go train. Is that okay? Like, if you can you take him, or just prioritizing to get away to do things, or can I sit in my office and work on my business or my website or training programs? And just even getting away sometimes, especially as a quote unquote stay-at-home mom. My husband likes to say, because I do other things, I'm not a traditional stay-at-home mom. But also just like building that network too. I have, let's see, 3 other moms. We have a group chat, and our kids are all at varying ages, within months of each other. And we're sprinkled all throughout the country, ironically. So it started just me and my friend, and then her cousin, and then her sister-in-law. And so it's great to have that network to be like, oh, Liam didn't sleep through the night. He's got a fever. What do you guys think? One of them's a pharmacist, so it helps a lot.
Oh, good.
But just like bouncing off ideas or just venting, like, oh my gosh, my husband, he like didn't unload the dishwasher. What was he thinking? And other moms, especially me and one other mom, were kind of later in the journey of being like, you need to have that open communication. Did you talk with your husband about this? What did he say? And, more than half the time, it's like, no, I didn't. I just got angry about it, but he doesn't know I'm angry.
Yeah.
And so momhood has been a lot of even just improvement on my relationship and my marriage with my husband, because yes, it's momhood, but it's 2 people. And I'm grateful that it is 2 happily married people. I didn't have that growing up. My mom was a single mom, and when they were married, they were fighting. And so taking a lot of what I grew up with and knew that I did not want to have as a parent myself, or raise my child or expose him to. And so that kind of fed into momhood. And I didn't really have a lot of examples of momhood because my sisters and I were 2 years apart from each other. So I didn't really get to see like, oh, a brand new mom with her baby. How do you interact with it? And so I really just had how my stepmom treated my half siblings when they were born, and how you talk to them, how you change them. Like that's how I learned a lot of stuff. Or taking care of my nieces when they were born and I was in high school. Momhood is different for a lot of women, but I think for all of us, it's kind of like going through the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
It's not meant to be easy, otherwise everyone would be doing it. And I think if someone's ever contemplating, a lot of women that I'm friends with now are on the fence about wanting to become a mom, or is it worth it? Or I'm not so sure. And I say, especially just getting pregnant, if you're not 100% on board, adopt. If you don't want to be pregnant, adopt. There's kids out there who want adoption, or you don't even have to have a kid. It's okay. You could be the best aunt in the world.
Yeah.
I have a sister and sister-in-law, 2 sister-in-laws that just love on my son and treat him like the world. And that's okay too, to not want to be a mom. You could be a dog mom, whatever. But
Yeah.
momhood is not for the faint of heart. I'd rather do 4 deployments over again than some of the things I've gone through.
It is true. It is true. That's definitely, I like how you said it's like through the trenches, because that's a thing. Like I feel like, and all of our trenches are different,
Mm-hmm.
and how we get out of them is different. But I love that you said that you have a group of people, because I think it is important to have some kind of a system or some people in your life that you can, get advice from or talk to or hear it or what have you, that can help you through that, because sometimes you do need somebody reaching down into the trench and helping you out. Like
Yep.
it doesn't always have to be, you getting out of that by yourself. Like there can be multiple people. It doesn't even just have to be one, right? So I really like that you said that you have a group of people that you guys talk with and bounce ideas around, because I think that that also alleviates a lot of stress and expectation on yourself, because you're more open to receiving those things and just really, connecting and not being alone and being heard, and then, getting the help that you need. So that's really cool. I'm glad that you shared that. If moms want or women want to work with you, how do they how do you do that? Like, is it only in person? Do you have virtual things? Give me a little background on that type of situation.
Yeah, so I train moms out of my own home gym here in Monroe, Washington. I also train moms and friends virtually. And so I prescribe them a monthly program for working out with whatever equipment they have available to them, however many times during the week they want to work out. And I would check in with them once a week. Hey, how are things going? How did you like these workouts? How was the weights, the reps, yada, yada. And then new in 2024, I am actually expanding my business to offer virtual training sessions. And so it'll be a video call, one-on-one. I'm there to check your form, accountability purposes, knowing that someone's going to show up and just really help moms schedule time, make sure that it gets done, because we deprioritize it all the time. It gets kicked down the line and then just never get around to it. And then for moms or women in general, local to the Monroe proper area, I am going to do in-person training at your house. So I will bring dumbbells, kettlebell, exercise ball, bands, you name it, to get our workouts done. And those two new options I came about because I asked a group of moms, would this be appealing to you? Yay or nay? Why? And, a lot of them said accountability. I just don't have the motivation myself to do it. I don't have the time, or, I got to load up my kids, go to the gym, have childcare. I just don't have that. But if they're just playing in your living room, like I can just train you right there. I've done it before. Or I can pet your dog while I'm training you. I'm very versatile, very flexible. And for a lot of women, it's nice to have that private environment where it's just us. And again, it's your you time. You can vent to me, you can whatever, and I'll give you even more knowledge than just training you. If you have a question about nutrition, I answer it. I help all of my clients succeed. Like I wouldn't be doing them a service if I didn't get the whole picture rather than just lifting weights in that one moment. So I have a website, JShirleyFitness.com, where you can reach out to me via contact, or Jessica at JShirleyFitness.com. That's my email. Or hit me up on Facebook. People DM me all the time, or I'm on the local moms Facebook group. So if people have questions about something, or I can't lose this postpartum weight, I'll always give my knowledge and expertise and say, if you have any more questions, DM me. Like, I'm not going to charge you per minute or per message that I send. I just genuinely love helping women.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So, and if you guys didn't take note of that, I'm going to have all the information in the show notes as well, so you can get a hold of Jessica if needed. And if you're local, that would be really cool. I'm curious if that how that works out, and let me know if you use Jessica. I actually am local and close to her too, so I thought about it myself. Before we go, I want to ask you one more question that I always like to ask my listeners. Would you be willing to share one of your superpowers with us today?
I would say one of my superpowers is giving women their confidence back. And I think that is just an awesome thing to have. and it's natural. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not, it's all you, like putting in the work and just having those texts say, I lost another 4 pounds, or I lost 2 inches off my waist, or I fit in my pre-pregnancy jeans. And like, I am like cheering for you from the sidelines and just screaming in my house. Like, even if you don't think that's a big accomplishment, like that just fuels me and gives me that life purpose that I've been seeking, ever since working corporate jobs. This is the most fulfilling job, in addition to being a mom, to have. And I think that in and of itself is a superpower.
I like that a lot. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for you, because then you're giving that to other women. So I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your stuff today. It was great to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad you had me on.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, learned something new, or got some gems to take away that will boost your week. I release a new episode each week, so make sure to click that follow button to not miss what is coming next. If you love the show or want to share a story, send me a quick message. I love hearing from listeners. If you know someone who needs this episode in their life, go ahead and share it with them. I'm sure they would love you for it. If you are looking to connect more, check out the show notes for all the social links, my website. I would love to hear how this episode helped you and what you loved about it. If there's a topic you want to hear about, send that too. All right, ladies, now is the time to release your inner power.